What's he eating?
Bonjour.
Okay, it's a toy.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
It's making a lot of noise, though.
Whatever. Maybe he'll tire fast. Plus, we're not like...
I think he will.
All good. Hey, everybody. It's me, Will.
Hi, and me, Kristen.
And we're back with another live episode of Guide to the Unknown.
That's right.
We're going to be talking about colder weather frights.
Chills beneath the ice.
Yeah. You think you're catching a chill outside? Mm-hmm. You ain't heard nothing yet.
No, you certainly have not.
No.
Wait
What's
till
up,
you hear
JD?
some from my monsters.
KB, McGray.
Hi, everyone.
Caitlin. Hello.
Yay.
Yeah, I'm excited. I found some stuff that I'd
think
never heard
Caitlin
of
is
before
who
to
suggested
talk
this. I think.
Oh, yeah?
Yes. Is that right, Caitlin?
Is that right?
Is that right?
We're going to be getting started in just a few minutes, but please consider sharing this to get it out there to the world, which would be great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hope you all had a nice weekend and
Yeah.
Thanksgiving if you
Yeah.
were in America.
Yeah.
And I didn't say it last week. I completely blew it, Kristen.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody likes to say this before the fact. I'm going to say it too late. Happy belated birthday to Kristen.
Thank you.
I never said it on our live recording.
I did notice that. I've been stewing,
Yeah?
and you're not forgiven yet.
Full of rage?
Keep full of rage.
Okay.
Keep digging yourself out of the hole. We'll get there.
Yeah, I consider myself out.
Well, I don't, and I guess
Well,
that's where we differ.
It's, yeah. Maybe we're just going to have to agree to disagree.
I guess so. I guess you have to see what happens to you.
Or just
Something's
disagree.
going to happen to you, and you're not going to know that it was me. Just something bad is going to happen, and it will be me.
At some point, you said that for the last time.
I know, right?
Right?
Yeah.
Like, it's weird that you didn't
I gave it up.
to use that tactic.
I know. I know.
That psychological warfare.
I know. I don't know. I grew up.
Yeah.
I grew up.
Yeah, what's going on? McRae's making some chalky cake.
Ooh, love a chalky cake.
KB wants to know if
Yum,
you had a
yum.
nice birthday.
I had a great birthday. Thank you. I had a really, really good birthday. Best in recent memory.
What did you do during the day?
Like nothing crazy.
Yeah?
Chilled.
Chill?
Yeah, it was great.
Nice.
I had a great day. I loved the weather all day.
It was a nice day.
Foggy. No, not foggy. Dark and rainy.
Oh, yeah. No, wait. Yeah.
And then it
was
turned
stormy as hell.
Well, that was at night.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I liked it all day. It was
Okay,
dark.
good.
I like really dark weather. And just chilled. And I had a great day. I had a fantastic day. And then Will and Allie came over, and Ryan did really nice things for me. And they all did nice things for me. And it was great.
Yeah,
So
it was
thank you.
wonderful. Welcome,
let's
Emma, to
see.
a live stream.
Welcome, Emma.
Very happy that you're here.
And JD, you know what? I don't really know how to do that, but if you feel like stirring it up in the Facebook group or on Discord or whatever, by all means. I love the thing.
Yeah, plus a watch party is fun.
Yeah, totally.
You had done a watch party with Candyman?
Yes, Candyman.
Candyman.
Yeah,
That was super fun. That was like at the beginning of quarantine.
Yeah,
and
that's
stuff.
right. Oh, that's right. You could do it through a thing on Netflix. I don't know if they still they probably still have that. So if the thing is on Netflix, then I guess we could maybe share a link and everybody watch it at the same time.
Yeah, it's
but
cool.
yeah, I'm totally theoretically into that idea. I think it's very cool.
Be fun. Hey, Sarah.
Yeah, and KB, I was thinking that too. I think you can do a watch party in Discord. So look into it. I'd be down for that.
Yeah, sweet.
Hey, Sarah. How you doing? William got me you're having a chalky cake. I'm having a hot chalky.
It's still hot at all?
I warmed it up upstairs.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. Nice. What'd you do to it?
Microwave.
Oh, okay. Sit on it or something?
I would warm it up. Toot sweet.
Yeah.
Toot toot.
Caitlin says
cool.
the Candyman watch party marked the actual beginning of quarantine.
I know.
They were sent home from work that day.
Oh boy. Yeah, I know. It was like early on. I remember.
I still have to watch Candyman 3.
Same.
Day of the Dead, I think it is.
Yeah. We gotta watch that.
Cool.
Cool.
What do you think?
Yeah,
Wanna
I'm
do the
ready.
show?
Yeah, let's kick it off.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right, everybody. We're going to record some Guide to the Unknown. If you have to leave or anything,
Yep.
hey, welcome back to our read.
Hey, Tara.
You know the deal. This will be out on Friday for anybody who has to miss out on part of the conversation.
Yep.
All podcast places, here on YouTube, stuff like that. Please consider sharing to spread the word about Guide to the Unknown. It's really one of the things that keeps this show living and breathing, which would be great.
Oh, nice. Emma just watched the thing, so this is very timely.
Nice.
So what we're going to be talking about is Arctic folklore and horror. I'm going to be talking about like Canadian Inuit stuff. William is going to be talking about like Norse stuff. So if you know anybody who's interested in that, you might want to share the link with them.
Yeah, please do.
All right.
Cool. Are you going to go first or should I?
I'll go first.
Yeah? Okay, cool.
Okay.
Then yeah, everybody, we'll catch you again at the end of the show. But hope you enjoy the conversation.
Yeah. Oh, wait, I want to tell everybody something real quick. That me doing this is what reminded me of it. I was part of the virtual audience on the Drew Barrymore show today.
That's right.
So on Friday, if you watch the show at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time or recorded or whatever, you will see my little face in a box. It probably won't be that exciting because you see my face now in the box of your TV. But Will gave me a really good idea, and we devised a little sign that was like an inside joke thing just for Guides to the Unknown people. So I do witchy fingers.
I hope that it made it to the show somewhere.
I think it did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it did. I saw myself doing it.
How is Drew?
She's good.
She's good?
She's
doing
great.
well?
Yeah.
Did you have to
She's
dance?
thriving. Dance? No.
No? Oh, I heard that like for some of the shows where they have like an at-home live audience, when they have a band come out, all the home audience people have to like
No.
dance and stuff.
No.
Like, get into it. Like it's embarrassing.
No. They said to clap and get like excited and stuff like that. So I did a lot of this, but then it felt weird to do for too long. So then I'd be like, I went like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
All right, great. I can't wait.
I had Buffy up with me for a little bit because they said Drew loves animals.
Aw, that's sweet.
And she happened to jump up on the arm of my chair, so I scooped her. I don't know if that'll be in it.
Nice.
Because it was a full audience, so they switched between two screens. So I'm not in it the whole time, but
fair
I'll be
enough.
in it. And me saying hi to you guys is this.
Yeah. So watch that. That's on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
You were also in the audience for, if anybody's familiar with the Kazoo Kid meme.
Oh, I certainly was.
That was shot in our hometown when we were kids. Actually, the biggest video on this YouTube channel is that Kazoo Kid had another sing-along video.
Yep.
Chrissy is in the audience for it, so she's in the video. You can
Yes.
find Kristen within the video.
I mean, they do close-ups on me a number of times.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I have GIFs of myself from the video on my phone that I guess Mike made them for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, a seasoned audience member. I've done Coco, The View.
If you need an
it's fun.
audience member,
Yeah.
if you're looking for somebody to be in your audience
I'm your
to cut
gal.
to, hit up Kristen.
Yeah, I love it. They did show me and Mom on The View. They, not like close-up, but they panned over us.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And it was me like talking to Mom. I was like, look excited. Like that when
I
they
kind of
showed
remember
us.
that because I think I panned your performance. Yeah. Maybe don't hire Kristen for your audience.
Well, all right.
All right.
But anyway, I'm saying hi to you like this.
Yeah, so
So
look
watch
for that
it.
on the
Yeah,
Drew
yeah.
Barrymore show.
Yep.
That's fun.
It's a
I'll be
kooky
watching
show.
That. I'll definitely be recording it. And
Yeah, I
I'm
have it
trying
set to
to
record.
catch you.
I'm on the bottom right. They have it divided up into squares. Bottom right.
Cool. Perfect.
Okay. Hello. Welcome to Guide to the Unknown. I'm Kristen.
And I'm her little brother, William.
And this week we are going to share Arctic chilly horror stories and folklore with each other.
Yeah, I'm feeling a cold breeze
Woo!
in the air.
A cold front's coming in.
Truly, like now when I
Yes.
go outside, like to take the garbage out or to walk Molly or something like that,
It's absolutely true.
it's that quality in the air that is impossible to adequately describe, but it all screams winter to
yes,
me.
it finally feels like that.
Yeah, so we're gonna get the jump, and we're gonna talk about some cold weather
That's right.
folklore, and I've got some straight up like monsters.
Yeah, no, so do I. And I loved researching this. I really, really enjoyed this. And this was Caitlin's suggestion from Patreon. So thank you so much for throwing it out there during one of our live streams, Caitlin, because it was an awesome, awesome idea. So I'm going to kick us off by talking about some Inuit legends. So Inuit actually just means people. You still use it to mean like the group of people, but it's technically the Inuktitut word for people.
Okay.
So they say an Inuit person is an Inuk. The legends that they have, and these are people who live in like northern Canada that are like native to the land. So the Inuit legends tend to center around other worlds that we can't see. The idea that there's like an entire world going on in the sky, an entire world going on in the earth, and especially unsurprisingly, the water and ice, because so much of the area that they occupy is ice and water and stuff like that. So there's this idea that there's a whole other world that's going on down there. Something that's also interesting about them is that Inuit myths and stories tend to be short and to the point.
Ooh, love that.
Yeah, they were all of them were like pretty short. Like, this is who this is. Sometimes it'd be like, this is what they look like. This is what they do.
Dynamite.
And it's like kind of monsters and stuff like that. Very, very cool. And I thought that maybe it's like, I wrote this jokingly, but I also do kind of wonder, too cold to tell a long ass story. I got to go cuddle up.
You would think that, well, I don't know.
Or while cuddling, maybe it's the perfect time to tell a long story.
Maybe. I
Or it
think
doesn't
about,
matter.
You know, stories take place around the campfire, which is where you go to warm yourself, right? And maybe eat some food and talk with people and share tales.
Yeah.
So maybe it was, you know, part of the activity of, well, we're social animals, people.
Right.
So, yeah, I don't
Maybe
know,
it's
but I
quickly
love that.
passing them around the campfire.
Yeah, exactly.
You go, you go, you go, you go.
Take your turns.
Yeah, who knows? But I just thought it was interesting that, like, it was a thing for this culture that their stories are short, because I found that over and over again.
It's quite the opposite of what I have, by the way.
The Norse are a long-winded people?
Yes, Norse mythology, much like Greek mythology, which are some ways counterparts to each other. Like, it's all like sprawling epics where all of the characters and the figures appear over the course of, like, you know, sagas and everything. So I'm not going to tell you any sagas or anything later on, but my stuff is all pulled from, like, sprawling tales where people have complicated relationships to each other. So I'm totally down for something that is more like to the point and fast. Here's who this person is and what they do.
Yeah, maybe it's a little point counterpoint. We'll balance each other out a little bit. Something that I also thought was very cool, even though it didn't make my research any easier, was that these stories are mostly passed by oral tradition. And because of that, there actually aren't tons of resources for these things. Like, some of these things that I do have some information on didn't even have a Wikipedia page. And I'm so used to everything having a Wikipedia page, many things having their own wiki, even if they are folklore or something. It was kind of foreign. Like, the source for some of these things are just a book about it. And then if you Google it, all of the results are just that same book listed on different websites.
Fun.
And that's because I read this article from a Canadian magazine called Up Here, who spoke to the creators of Inhabit Media, which is a publishing company that is all about Inuit folklore mythology, who said, because of the fact that things are passed down orally, they basically wanted to start their company to have them down somewhere solid, because otherwise these stories might eventually die out.
Yeah.
It's really, I don't know, I thought it was really interesting. Like, I shouldn't say I've never, I don't remember the last time I had fewer sources for things that seem so cool and, like, I don't know. It doesn't seem like such a weird thing, like a mythology of a certain area. We've done that a million times, and I haven't had a hard time like this before.
Yeah.
I think it really, to an extreme degree, was passed down orally and really not even documented, it seems like, until Inhabit Media came along and started doing it. It's very cool.
It's pretty wild to imagine that there are probably countless stories and pieces of folklore or whatever that are just lost.
Right.
You know, stories that used to get told only at campfires, and no one will ever, ever, ever know again. They were never recorded, never written down.
I know, totally. So I completely get where they're coming from, especially if that's the culture, that it's just orally passed down. Like, it seems like they were like, we need to start getting these down because these people are going to start to pass away, or the stories kind of go out of rotation.
Yeah.
And then there's nothing left to point to. There's no reference for them.
It would be hard to do something temporary today, right? Because even if we, you know, I've thought about doing things before where we, like, release a podcast and then immediately remove it and delete it and never ever re-release it or anything like that.
Yeah.
But there's still a good chance that somebody could download it and re-upload it or something. Like, how could you mimic that? Like, everything is permanent now.
Totally. And also, I honestly think the temptation to to make it permanent too,
To
because I
store
like
it.
that idea. But I'd be like, oh man, that was so cool. It seems like a waste to not let more people hear that. I feel like we'd end up putting that up somewhere just because we can.
Right.
And
Why wouldn't we?
yeah, kind of why wouldn't we? So I guess it's kind of okay that things don't die out that way. But it's just interesting that they don't.
Sure.
It's also worth noting that a lot of these are cautionary tales the way that a lot of folklore is, where it's kind of designed to keep children from doing different things, whether it's like wandering into a dangerous landscape, getting too close to the water, whatever. But in that same article, which I have linked in the show notes, the Inhabit Media creators point out a couple of times that it wasn't purely that. The adults who were telling children and other people these stories really believed some of these stories that they were telling. Like they thought there was this monster or whatever. And there are like repeated sightings of some of these creatures and monsters. So they weren't purely just like boogeyman made up. They maybe kept telling them partially for that reason, but with most of these stories, there's somebody down the line who believed that was real, and that's why they passed it on. So let's start off with the tale of the Nanoluq, which is what Caitlin suggested to us on Patreon off the bat that got us to do this. So this is said to be a massive polar bear, like humongous, the size of an iceberg that lives under the sea. So almost like a polar bear Godzilla that is just laying in wait underneath the ice. It's a ferocious man-eater, but it's practically invincible because of its ice-covered fur.
Oh.
So
it's also got like a shield device.
Yes, exactly. It almost has like scales of ice, I picture. Yeah, like it's like encrusted in ice, but still able to like move and do its thing.
Like when I shovel the driveway and then I have icicles in my beard.
Yeah, exactly. That must feel so weird.
Yeah.
Does it feel cool? Do you go like crunch?
Oh, yeah.
Does it feel cool?
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds good. So the Nanoluq lays in wait, but the way you can know one is nearby is finding an unusually large breathing hole in the ice, which is called an aglue. If you see one of those, you better get the hell out of there because that means that there is a Nanoluq somewhere underneath there. So the main source that I found for the Nanoluq is a book, an illustrated book called The Giant Bear, which is by, I'm going to take my time with the name, it's Jose Angutin-Gurnik. And then this was also made into a movie, and it tells the story of a hunter coming across an aglue near his igloo, which is like a home made of ice that you might think of, and realizing, oh man, there's a Nanoluq under here. It doesn't seem to know I'm here yet, so I'm going to come up with a plan to kill it.
Oh.
So that was later made into an animated movie that won like tons of awards and stuff. It has like a really kind of neat animation style. The consensus about both the book and the movie, even though they're somewhat separate entities, Jose worked on both of them, but still they have different vibes, is that they're both good, but they're both gnarly. And on Goodreads, people kept kind of reiterating the fact that killing a bear is a weird little kid's story because it sounds pretty gruesome the way that he finally gets the Nanoluq. Like,
is that right?
I mean, imagine like a medieval dude taking down a dragon. It's like violent and whatever, and that's told in this story.
Swords?
If not a sword, something. I mean, something that's acting as a sword. Yes,
Yeah.
slicey, dicey, going through an eye.
Okay, sure. All that kind of stuff.
Yeah, all this.
All that.
So I was thinking that, you know, it's hard to separate them though then, but like maybe it's not even really supposed to be a little kid's story because it seems quite obvious that wouldn't be fair for little kids. But the fact that the format is so little kiddie, it's a picture book, like an illustrated book and a cartoon, make you think that it's for kids. But then maybe it shouldn't be in that. I don't know. Maybe you find some common ground or something. I don't know. But
you know, we've already talked about on this show the idea that like even material made for kids when we were young is different from stuff for kids today. And then extrapolate that, go back, you know.
Oh, this came out a few years ago.
Oh, this is recent?
Yes, the book and the movie.
Well, the story though.
The story itself, yes, but it's the Goodreads page seemed to say they wish that the book was the illustrations were a little bit less gnarly.
Okay.
They apparently pull no punches.
Interesting.
But, you know, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
But everybody still said that it was good. They liked it, but they were just kind of like, this is intense. I wouldn't read this to your children. I love thinking about this. Like, things that are that massive fall into the category for me of making me scared and unsettled, but also kind of like excited and into it.
Yeah.
I've talked on the show before about the fact that Godzilla freaks me right out. I don't care for Godzilla. He's simply too big. Even watching the trailer, he's simply too big. It makes me feel small and weird and scared. It's too massive. I can't control it. There's nothing to be done.
I guess it's true. It's like, well, this is not the...
He's like the weather. You can't
right,
avoid. It
right.
makes me scared.
They, that there was like a 2016 Godzilla movie in Japan where they gave him different powers and he's way weirder.
Yeah, we have a whole episode about Godzilla, where you cover Godzilla. I'm not sure which one it is.
I already did this? I was literally going to say we should cover Godzilla.
No, you covered Godzilla.
Oh, no.
Yep.
Oh, no, my brain.
I'll find out which one it was while we're talking. But yeah, it just so massive. But I'm like, this is very cool.
Yeah.
And it reminded me of the fact that when we were kids, or even older, I guess, and we would drive to Massachusetts to visit our grandparents, we would pass all these like kind of hills on the side of the highway.
Yeah.
And I used to imagine that there was like a sleeping dragon under there, because it looked like a big hump of a back or something. And it would scare me a little bit, but I also would like it.
Yeah, yeah.
And I also did that with the Verrazano Bridge. Favorite bridge as an adult.
Sure.
I also enjoyed it as a kid, but it also scared me because I would imagine that, I don't even know what to call them, but think of any bridge. If you were on a bridge that's like very big.
Suspension bridge.
Suspension bridge. I guess you could even picture like the Golden Gate Bridge or whatever. And if you're driving, you're seeing these two giant kind of like archway things coming down towards you. I used to imagine, what if those were the tusks of a giant elephant?
Oh,
as we were driving, and I was like, I like it.
Yeah, interesting.
I know. So you talked about Godzilla in episode 83.
Okay, so that was like half the show ago.
Yes.
All right.
Yes. But if anybody wants to go back and check that out, you can.
It was like 2 years ago.
Yeah, it was a while ago. Okay, so let's move on to another monster. This is the Qalupalik. It is a boogeyman kind of figure for Inuits.
Yeah.
It kidnaps children. Yeah, this is sweet. It kidnaps children who come too close to thin ice or large bodies of water where it lives. If the children get too close, the Qalupalik will kidnap them, stuffing them into its Amautalik, which is like a parka, basically. So stuffing children into its giant coat.
Oh, my God.
Before taking them away and drowning them.
Oh, my God.
So stories about the appearance of the Qalupalik vary, but some stories have them dressed in feathers and stinking like sulfur, which I thought was interesting because that's connected to like demon and devil stuff. The smell of sulfur is supposed to be that there's like demons and hell things about. That they have long fingernails and slimy green skin. They're sometimes referred to as he, but sometimes she. And in the stories where it's she, sometimes it says that she snatches the children to make them take care of her long flowing hair for her.
Oh, that's odd.
I know.
I've never heard of anything like that before.
Me neither. Like, these children are for like maintenance.
Yeah, you now work for me.
Yeah.
You're going to be taking care of my hair.
You're my
for
stylist
a while.
now.
I was going to say folklore as what you already called it of like, tales of how to avoid getting yourself in trouble. If it's a story about don't go too near to the ice when it's thin.
Yeah.
Then I would expect it to be like, the ice will break in and you'll fall and something will grab you and drag you to the bottom of the lake. Once you said that this creature takes you away, I was like, well, that's not like on theme with water. And then you said
to drown.
And then it'll drown you.
Yeah.
I was like, there it is.
It grabs you, wraps
you.
you in the thing so you can't get away, the Amautalik, and then drowns you. I also thought it was really cool and interesting. The Amautalik is going to pop up again in another story, and I think it's really cool. I'd never heard the idea of a parka, like a giant coat, as being something like restrictive. In one of these stories we've heard about, like people, Krampus putting kids in a sack, or who's that kind of like Lady Krampus figure? I covered her.
Yeah, Lady Krampus.
It's something with a G. It's like, it's not Grimelda, but it's like Grilda.
Grilla. Yeah.
I think Grilla also had a sack or something. And I just never heard of a coat doing that. And it makes complete sense because they're in the Arctic where it's super cold.
Totally.
And I just like the idea of folklore changing and matching the area that it originates in. Like, you would be talking about parkas and stuff here.
Yeah.
I just think it's neat.
And like, but also the idea of like being in the water and wrapped in fabric. Mm-hmm. It's the same as that fear of, falling on top of a pool cover.
Yeah.
That happens in the Unbreakable.
Yeah.
Shyamalan.
Yeah, totally.
But like that feeling of like, oh, you're wrapped in. You have to. You're in the
Well,
water.
I don't think
you're
you're probably
drown.
wrapped in it because I think she's probably still wearing her parka.
Oh, you think that she just takes the parka off and puts you in the water? And
That's
pushes
what I
your head
picture. I
under?
think she's using that as a means of confinement, so they can't get
Okay.
out. It's almost like the way you would use a sack,
Yeah.
but then letting them out of it.
Interesting. Okay.
Why waste a good Amautalik?
Yeah, parkas do cost some.
A pretty penny.
A good parka. It's gonna cost you.
I actually just got one today. It's quite good.
Really? And
quite good.
Truly? Could you stuff a child in there?
I might be able to. I sized up just in case. And also, it has a detachable lining, so it's like a 2-in-1 jacket thing.
Oh, great.
And if I was wearing just the parka part without the lining, I could probably fit a small child in there with me.
Excellent.
Yeah, it's great. Look out for me. I'm going to remember this name. I'm the new Amautalik. You'll find out what that means in just a moment.
Okay.
Fear me. Okay. So now let's talk about, I'm going to take this slow again. I lucked out. I looked up the pronunciation for a bunch of things. But again, because a lot of them are folklore that was passed orally, the Qalupalik was the only thing I found pronunciation guidelines for. Everything else I'm just kind of trying to do, so forgive me. But the next one we're going to talk about is the Mangatturajuk. Mangatturajuk.
Okay.
Okay, so this is an ogress who lives. I love the word ogress. I love it. I'm an aspiring ogress.
Yeah.
I'm an amateur sleuth and an aspiring ogress. An ogress who lives underground and lures children to her lair to eat their heads in a very specific way.
Eat your head.
It's eating their head, but also there's a little something else there. So the way that she gets the children down to her underground lair is by leaving trails of beautifully colored rocks and carvings, which would totally have gotten me. I loved pretty little rocks and minerals, especially when I was a kid. So I totally would have followed this right into the ogress's lair.
And she's in there licking her lips, looking at the size of your noggin.
I know. What a cabeza.
Come to me, big head.
Yeah.
There are more shiny rocks over here.
My head was full of shiny rocks. But anyway, so once the children are in there, she cuts off their heads and then feeds on the disgusting, rotting matter that oozes out of their nostrils.
Ew.
Disgusting Mangatturajuk.
Ew. You sicken me.
I know. It is said that her organs are made out of steel and gravel.
Oh.
And there's a book about her called The Gnawer of Rocks. The Gnawer of Rocks.
Like,
That
as
is
in choose
gnawing.
on
Yep.
rocks.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's from that Inhabit Media.
Her innards are rocks?
Yeah, made out of steel and gravel.
So is that what she's leaving out for kids to lure them in? Little pieces of herself, and then she's going to eat a piece of you?
Ew, you think that trail of beautifully colored rocks is like...
Part of her?
Well, are you saying I'm not just being good? Are you... Like her poop?
What?
Well, because of you said her innards are made out of rocks and then she's leaving those for the children.
Yeah, maybe I didn't mean that they were her leavings. I meant like maybe she's like cracking off part of a spoon or something and putting it out there.
Okay.
You're weird.
You said innards and then you said maybe she's leaving rocks. Everybody just calm down.
This is you. This is all your fault.
Everybody just calm down.
See, because if you're leaving stuff out there for kids to collect and ultimately it leads back to you.
Right.
You could like cut off your toes and then the kids will be collecting them one by one. Then you've got all your toes back and this delicious kid to eat.
Yeah, but then your toes are cut off.
Well, but what if you're like a magical creature and you can put them
Sure,
back on?
yes.
Yeah.
Sure, in that case.
This thing
yeah.
sounds to be magical.
Definitely.
Sidebar, you can eat someone's boogers without cutting their head off. Life hack.
That's true. That is
The more
true. But
you know,
maybe
I actually saw this. We were watching,
Good
one of
Girls
those-
on NBC.
Good Girls. We were watching Good Girls. And then all of a sudden, who do I spy but David Boreanaz? Mm-hmm. Did you know you can eat someone's boogers without cutting off your head?
Right.
Think about it. The more you know.
That's right. If
So
only this ogress had heard that, she might be able to save herself a lot of trouble, but she didn't.
yeah, she probably cut the cable.
She probably got the cable. Well, that's not on cable NBC.
Well, probably also doesn't have an antenna. Doesn't have the old rabbit ears.
Perhaps no.
Yeah.
Perhaps no. Okay, now let's move on to Mahaha.
Okay.
Any guesses based on the name what Mahaha's deal is?
It is a motherly figure who loves to laugh. Mahaha.
Well, you're not super far off. This is the tickle demon.
Oh my god! Oh, so haha really is
Yes.
part of the party here.
Yes. I would hate this. So this is a group of demons, not just one. It's like a, class of things that are around that are always smiling and giggling and naked, but the cold doesn't seem to bother them. They're super thin with icy blue skin, long stringy hair that hangs in their faces, and white eyes peering through that curtain of like stringy hair.
Ooh.
They will tickle you to death. How it happens is that you'll hear a faint laughing behind you, and when they catch up to you, they'll tickle you until you eventually die.
From what though? Like
Hatred in your heart? I mean, I don't think anybody some people like being tickled.
if
I don't
somebody
care
gets
for
their
me.
mitts on your pits. What is it that you're really then like? What's the cause of death? Is it a heart attack?
I would say
Is it
maybe
so
a
much,
heart
like,
attack.
Strenuous activity of laughing.
Yeah, maybe it's cardiac arrest. And you can tell if you come across somebody who has died when they have been killed by a Mahaha because they will have a frozen, rictus smile on their face.
Oh my god, this is the Joker.
I'm about to say, like they love that Joker.
Snow Joker.
Or that movie, Truth or Dare, that came out a couple years ago.
Truth or dare. Truth or dare. Now that was some weird.
I actually didn't see it.
We could definitely cover the weird like pseudo demons that have been in modern pop culture movies, where it's like
Sure.
his name's Bagul.
Yeah,
You know,
right.
somebody
Yeah.
on a webcam explaining the backstory of a demon.
I'm way into that.
Yeah.
Fine by me. However, your fate is not necessarily sealed as soon as they approach. You can trick a Mahaha by bringing it to a watering hole for one last drink. I guess in between your laughs, you'd be like, let me have just another sip. And it will bring you... That was a little bit John Travolta and Welcome Back, Kotter, I think. What I just did.
I just need another drink.
I just need another drink. But yeah, so it will bring you to the watering hole to grant you your last drink, and then you can push it into the hole to be swept away by the current.
Oh.
So there is an out as long as you have the presence of mind while they're tickling you.
And rushing water.
It seemed to be implying
It's
that
like a
all water
pond.
is... I know. It seemed to be implying that all water is going to be rushing. It specifically said it would be swept away by the current.
Okay,
So,
sure.
Okay, so this last monster is the one that... I didn't think about it until you point out that I have my new parka, but the one that I may eventually develop into, this is the Amautalik. This is another class of ogresses, not just a single ogress like the other one who I was talking about, but this is a bunch of people the same way that there's a group of Mahaha who steal children naturally. This is a particularly notorious group, and it is said that just saying the name Amautalik will strike fear into the heart of Inuit children. So depending on the story, an Amauti, which is the singular version, is a woman who looks hella old as time, and wears an Amautik, that parka, out of a walrus hide that she stows children away in to snatch them away, to do whatever children snatchers do in these stories, like Boogeyman and stuff. Other times the story will have them, this is very creative and really crazy, have the Amautalik hunched over with a giant basket on her back made from antlers and driftwood and stuffed with rotting seaweed infested with lice and maggots.
Oh.
She tosses children into this basket to carry them away.
Ew.
Now, like the Mahaha, they can be tricked, luckily.
Thank God.
In one version of the story from the book Stories of the Amautalik, a girl who she has stolen is saved because the girl has this amulet that was given to her by her grandfather, and the amulet turns into a bird because it just feels it's needed and knows what to do or whatever. And when it turns into a bird, it starts freeing the girl from the basket, picking off pieces of the basket so she can get out. It then flies around the Amautalik's head, pissing her off enough that she basically is like, this isn't worth it, and she gives up the whole thing and just lets the girl go.
So the Amautalik is also slightly put upon.
Yes, exactly. Again, another reason that I feel I could develop into this one with a little time, love, and tenderness.
Because she's got a lot on her plate. She's carrying this thing on her back.
Right.
So she's very
having
close
it all
to
as a myth, says the Amautalik.
She's a hair away from throwing her hands up and going, screw it.
Who needs it?
I don't need this.
No.
I'm going home.
Exactly.
Okay, that's great to know.
I know.
Whether your grandma or your grandpa gave you an amulet or not, maybe you can just pester the Amautalik just enough.
It's just good to know.
Sidebar. Grandpa gives you an amulet.
Yeah.
Gramulet.
Excuse me.
It's like I said a spell that made you sneeze.
Yeah, gramulet is the spell that makes me
Gramulet.
sneeze.
Achoo. Gramulet. Achoo. Stop it.
Enough. I'm trying to do this shit.
I'm allergic to that word. You know that.
Okay, so that's it for the folklore. And I looked up some movies. I tried to find things that were in specifically the Canadian Antarctic. And it doesn't seem like there are like a lot of real hot movies on the scene that are set there. But just like Inhabit Media has Inuit books, To Cut Productions makes Inuit movies that are for children and young adults. So something to check out. They're who produced the Giant Bear book.
Cool.
That's about the Nanoluq. There are a lot of movies that are set in other places in the Arctic, just not Canada. But I did find two that seem worth pointing out. There's a movie that came out in 2009 called The Thaw, starring Val Kilmer, which has the tagline, "Extinction will find you."
Extinction will find you.
I think that's a bad tagline.
Extinction will find you.
Mm-hmm.
So
it also doesn't seem to be true for what happens in the movie, because they definitely find what could be their extinction.
The concept of extinction is attempting to get you. Mm-hmm. Extinction is an event.
Right.
If you're found by extinction, it should be like extinction is coming. Maybe
Something.
Even that's weak.
It's not good.
If you die, did you go extinct?
I guess.
Even though humans continued?
Yeah, like
Right?
Kristen went extinct.
Kristen went extinct.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not great though. The plot is that an Arctic research team gets sick from a prehistoric parasite that had been frozen in a polar ice cap. Looking at the Wikipedia, it sounds kind of gross.
Yeah.
One part involves eggs found in the brain of a woolly mammoth. I'm good.
Yeah, I'm good.
The other one I wanted to mention, which sounds better, is called Black Mountainside, and it's an indie movie from 2014 that won a bunch of awards. And the plot is that archaeologists go to the Arctic North and Canada and find ancient artifacts below the ice and dirt that date back to the end of the Ice Age, but after finding them, they start having psychological and physical effects, and things start to go all haywire. But apparently there's also an acknowledgement that they are kind of going crazy from the isolation of this mission as well.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so
That's
that's supposed to be a very good movie.
Yeah.
But I didn't really find anything else that was about like the Canadian Arctic.
Okay, fair enough.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I watched an indie movie the other day that was very good.
Oh, what?
Raiders of the Lost Ark.
William.
Ba-dum-bum.
Come on.
Indie.
Come on. Hold on to your potatoes.
Cool.
So that's it.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to be talking about Norse mythology. Some wintry, some not. Mm-hmm. But a lot of like cold weather creatures and monsters and stuff. But before we jump into that, if you're listening to the show and you're enjoying it, why don't you consider hopping on over to Apple Podcasts and leaving us a review while you listen to the second half of the episode. Guide to the Unknown is going 160 episodes strong as of this week. If you are into what we're talking about right now, and especially as I get into Norse mythology, I also want to say that we've covered things like this before. Way back in episode 38, we covered the fact that people in Iceland are said to believe in elves. So you might enjoy checking that out as well, or any number of other episodes in our archives where we've talked about pop culture monsters. We've talked about, fictional creatures in terms of movies, folkloric, lore-based characters in terms of world history. Kristen and I have covered things that scared us as children.
Yes.
So go digging around into the archives and consider sharing this show with people, because if you like it, maybe somebody else will too.
Yeah, that'd be absolutely awesome. And we'd also really, really appreciate it if you headed to patreon.com/GTTUpod and signed up to donate $4 or more. You can put anything in that field per month as a thank you to us for putting this show out for free. And as a thank you to you, we have bonus podcast episodes that come out there every single month. So there's kind of like a whole secret podcast that just patrons get access to. And we also do a monthly planning session where on the first Sunday of every month, we sit down with our patrons and do a live chat where Will and I plan the next 4 weeks of shows. So you can see what we're doing. You can see kind of what our process is, and you can affect the shows like Caitlin did. Caitlin brought up the idea of Arctic horror in one of those Patreon planning sessions, and then we did it today. So go check that out. It's a really, really appreciated way that you can support us and thank us for doing the show, and you get some cool things back for doing it.
Yeah, actually, this past week I was thinking a lot about one of the bonus shows that we've got up there. Kristen and I watched, so we listened to them. You can hear what we're watching as we're talking about it. We watched music videos that have elements of horror to them. Mm-hmm. So there's like a Scream 3 music video from Creed.
Yeah.
But David Arquette plays Dewey in it.
Right.
You know, and we watched that. And so here's what I was really thinking about. There's this insane 40-minute long Michael Jackson
Oh my God.
music video called Ghosts, where it was like a sort of like him trying to do Thriller again.
Yeah.
But somebody was talking, one of the shows that I like was talking about that video this week, and it got me thinking. I was like, oh my God, we like talked about that and like reacted to it and reviewed it.
Yes. Like,
go check out that show. I remember having my mind kind of blown by like these characters that Michael Jackson was playing. And anyway, it's there's so much oddball stuff on Patreon just for people that support us. That is one of them.
Yep.
That has been on my mind as of late. So maybe go check that one out.
Please.
But yeah, let's talk about some Norse mythology here. Do you have any great familiarity with Norse mythology?
No. I mean, Thor,
Right.
I know is Norse mythology, but besides that, no.
Yeah, at its, I think it's most well known. Thor, Odin. Thor is now in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. He's one of the main Avengers. So I think people know it to that extent. Loki, his brother, very popular. Mm-hmm. That's Norse mythology. And it's real life folklore that dates back hundreds of years. And so here are some of the interesting creatures from it. I was always a big fan of Greek mythology.
Same.
I was always fascinated by it. Mom had books on Greek mythology growing up.
I have
would
it
read
now.
Over and over and over. Mm-hmm. That's right. Yeah, you do. And Norse mythology, there are, in Greek mythology, you'll have like the god of war. There's also a god of war in Norse mythology.
Yeah.
Like a lot of these figures are analogs for each other. So it sort of gives me like a leg up reading into Norse mythology, except it's also just unfamiliar enough
Right.
that everything is new and odd and interesting and fascinating. So I'm going to talk to you first about a creature called the Draugr. Mm. The Draugr is an undead monster. Some people might call it a zombie. Because it is the undead body coming back and trying to tear at your flesh and kill you and eat you. They're violent. Some people refer to it as a revenant, which is essentially a person who is not brought back to life, but reanimated. Mm-hmm. And so there's a soul in the body, but the body is rotting and decaying, and it's just full of rage and anger. Some people might call this thing something of a vampire, because it tries to occasionally eat you or drink your blood, and it can, if it bites you or kills you, you might be turned into a Draugr too, which is very vampiric. So evidently the Draugr are capable of, they have increased strength so they can crush you to death.
It's also vampire-y, right? I think vampires are like very strong.
Yeah, they're super strong. They eat.
Man, it's so stupid.
They're super strong.
I think vampires are like really strong.
Vampires
yeah, they're super
are,
strong.
Like, really strong. Oh yeah, they're super strong. We should watch Twilight. Doesn't he stop a car from hitting Bella?
I think you're right. Yeah.
I was asking Allie this the other day. Bella in Twilight. Bella Lugosi reference?
No, I don't think so. Bella means like beautiful in Italian. I think it's just a romantic name.
Bella.
Bella.
But also Bela Lugosi was famously Dracula.
I think it's a coincidence, probably.
Okay.
But you're absolutely right. But I just don't feel it.
Fair enough. Mm-hmm. So a Draugr might also try to eat you. They're going to bite you. But even worse than the bite, Kristen, you would hate this. They can turn into a giant and eat you whole. They can just fully put you in their mouth and chew on you.
They must be huge
It's
then.
a big monster. It's a big Draugr.
Yeah.
Draugr have another ability that is unusual. They can enter a person's mind and torture them mentally. Maybe it's a nightmare, maybe it's a waking nightmare. But either way, often they will leave some sort of a totem or sign around after the torture is done to communicate to the person that was all
That was
real.
me. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you weren't just hallucinating. That really happened.
That's cool.
The Draugr is called a corporeal ghost with a physical, tangible body, and it's going to be delivered a second death if you kill it. It's already been killed once, so if you're going to cut off its head or something like that, that's its second death. They stink,
Okay.
reeking of decay. Some are said to be necrotic black. Others are, quote, death blue or corpse pale.
Oh.
Which are some of my favorite Sherwin-Williams
Oh my God,
hues.
Will. I was about to make a joke about paint color names.
Yeah.
Name checking Sherwin-Williams makes that joke better. So you bested me.
A Draugr in Icelandic folktales in the modern age can also change into a great flayed bull, a gray horse with a broken back, or no ears or no tail, which is scary too. Like it can turn into a horse.
Yeah, a
scary
messed up
horse.
one. Yeah,
A
right.
screwed up, frightening horse.
Yeah.
Or a cat that will sit upon a sleeper's chest and grow steadily heavier until the victim suffocates. Yeah. Also like vampires, which there's all this like folklore around vampires of jamming a rock into a dead person's skull when you bury them so that they can't come back to life. There are prevention methods to stop somebody who has recently died from coming back as a Draugr.
Cool.
Traditionally, a pair of open iron scissors is placed on the chest of the recently deceased, and straws or twigs might be hidden among their clothes. Their big toes are tied together, or needles are driven through the soles of the feet in order to keep the dead from being able to walk.
Those were wild, man.
I absolutely love that sort of thing.
Yeah, I do too.
Where it's just like, because, you know, we theoretically have respect for the dead.
Yeah.
And the notion of saying farewell to your loved one, but also like,
All right, get the needles.
we got to tie their toes together because I never want to see them again.
Right, absolutely.
It's like fascinating.
I think so too. Like the bell thing.
Yeah.
It's so
Oh, I love the bell.
Yeah, I do too.
The bell that would signify
Yep.
if somebody was accidentally buried alive. Yeah.
Any weird stuff that they used to do to people before burying them, I find fascinating.
Yeah, tricky, whacked out burials.
Yeah.
Evidently, the most effective means of preventing the return of the dead was believed to be a corpse door. This was a door through which the corpse was carried feet first, with people surrounding it entirely, so that theoretically the dead person cannot see the door itself or where it is. They don't know where they are.
That's awesome. It's so simple.
Yeah, it's taking the dead to be buried somewhere that they wouldn't even figure out how to come back from.
Right. It's like putting a blindfold on somebody in a car.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you have no idea where we are right now.
Yeah.
Which is great. There is... okay, the Draugr, I had some familiarity with. I play... I'm a really big fan of the God of War video games, and those were always Greek mythology until they rebooted it in the last couple of years with Norse mythology. And the Draugr are essentially the Goomba. You know, like in Mario, it's like the common enemy that you see all the time. So I was familiar with them, but it's funny, in looking up Norse mythology, I kept hitting video game adjacent concepts. Because I guess, like, folklore has really, this particular folklore has really permeated pop culture.
Yeah.
Like, even a lot of, like, D&D stuff all seems to come from, like, this mythology. And, like, Lord of the Rings is very loaded with Norse mythology of, like, elves and stuff like that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've sort of dodged a few things about, like, you know, dwarves and elves. I've never been a huge fantasy fan.
No, me neither.
But, yeah. Here's the next creature that I've got for you, the Berserker. Which, Kristen, you just turned 37.
I did.
Snooch to the nooch.
Thank you, Snookins, babe.
And in Clerks, there's a character, Olaf, who is supposed to be in a band, and his big song is Berserker. So this
Oh yeah, that's right.
This
Yeah.
one's for you.
This one's for me.
Kevin
Thanks.
Smith's birthday. Kevin Smith this birthday.
Yeah, there you go.
Anyway, berserker is a term that refers to a warrior
Okay.
who really goes ham.
Yeah,
in
that's
battle.
what I picture is somebody who's just like a whirling dervish. They're just coming at you.
Snarling,
Yeah.
like drooling, like raving mad, can't be stopped, as if you've just injected them with like
Yes.
5 syringes of steroids and they're gonna barrel through you. They'll rip you apart with their hands if they have to.
Mm-hmm.
The term berserker actually means bear shirt, as in the animal bear, shirt as in clothes. Literally, these warriors, these berserkers, would often wear bear skin.
Oh.
And so they would have an animal like presence on the battlefield.
Yeah.
And so that just made them even more threatening and frightening.
That's cool.
Sidebar about the berserker, but in terms of video games, there's I didn't even make this connection until just now, but from God of War to a series called Gears of War, there was a monster called the Berserker that I remember being very terrifying the first time I played the game. It is blind, but it can smell you and it can hear really well. So you have to move quietly around it and slowly. This is a game where you have a gun that's also a chainsaw, so everything's loud all the time.
Yeah.
And then you encounter a monster that you have to like tiptoe around.
Ooh, that's nerve-wracking.
Very frightening. And if it senses you, it'll just barrel in your direction and like it'll run at you from like across a room. It's that scary.
Oh man! Also for my Real Housewives fans, Real Housewives of New York specifically, they go to the Berkshires, which Will and I went to a lot as kids.
Berserkshires.
They call them the Berserkshires because they always have fights in the Berkshires.
Is that right? Mm-hmm. Oh my god.
They go to visit Dorinda Medley's house in the Berserkshires.
No wonder we love it there so much.
Absolutely.
And now to my possibly my favorite creature that I've got for you today, the Mare. Mare. Kristen, there is a piece of art that I have encountered 1,000 times in my research for Guide to the Unknown. It is a piece called The Nightmare by
Okay.
an artist named Henry Fuseli, and it depicts a woman lying in bed, and sitting on her chest is this little goblin. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I mean, it rings a bell. I'm going to look it up as you're saying.
The
as you're
Nightmare
talking.
by Henry Fuseli, Fuseli. I think that this even went way back to Guide to the Unknown episode 1 when we were covering the Boogeyman, and a lot of it was about like getting into the concept of nightmares a little bit.
Yeah, I've seen this a million times. Yeah.
Night terrors, things like that. It's back again, but I maybe now know what that little goblin thing is.
Oh, cool.
Ironically, there's also a horse in that work of art, but the mare is
Yeah.
not the horse.
Yeah.
The mare is attested as early as in the Norse Ilinga saga from the 13th century. Here's some of the story of the mare, this little creature that sits on your chest. King Van Landi of Uppsala lost his wife to a nightmare, conjured by the Finnish sorceress Hulda, hired by the king's abandoned wife. The king had broken his promise to return, and after 10 years had elapsed, the wife engaged the sorceress to either lure the king back to her or, failing that, assassinate him.
Okay.
King Van Landi had scarcely gone to sleep when he complained that the nightmare, quote, rode him. When the men held the king's head, it, quote, trod on his legs on the point of breaking. And then it seized his feet before the creature fatally pressed down on his head. A mare is, I think, a metaphor for, and this is not a unique theory to me, this is like all over the internet, but like, it's about sleep paralysis.
Yeah.
And always has been. We've talked about this work of art like a million times in a million other contexts.
Yes.
But the fact that it's called a mare, and the fact that the term nightmare seems to have some connection to this particular creature means that it's sort of the origin point for all of this stuff, which I love. So, not only is the mare like a little creepoid that wants to sit on your chest and suffocate you while you're sleeping in like a torturous death. It's also said, by the way, I should have pointed this out. When they say the nightmare rode, or the mare rode him, it's because the mare is also said to like truly literally ride you to death. Like it will ride a horse until the horse's legs are like breaking from running so hard. So this thing will work you to death. So if you're sleeping, it will essentially crush you and squeeze the air and life out of you because it's riding you
Right.
to death. But not only that, the mare is associated with another creature called Morana, also known as Marzana, the goddess of winter, who I cannot wait to tell you about. There are theories that the name comes from death or pestilence.
Cool.
So neither one is particularly nice.
Nope.
Morana is, it may come from the terms phantom, vision, or hallucination. She's a figure that sort of represents winter itself, almost like a Jack Frost.
Cooler one.
A much cooler one, although, horrible things happen to her.
Okay.
Because if you've got a really fun character, don't you wish that there was some sort of like a ritual surrounding her or something that you could partake in every year?
Absolutely.
Great news.
Oh.
There is a rite that involves preparing an effigy in female clothing. This is in Poland and Slovakia.
Okay.
And then you either set it on fire or you drown it in a river or both.
Oh.
This is
a little bit of overkill.
This is often performed on a field trip by children in kindergarten or primary school.
That's awesome.
The effigy, which is often made by the children themselves, can range in size from a puppet to a life-size dummy, and it represents the end of the dark days of winter, the victory over death, and the welcoming of the spring rebirth. There are superstitions that relate to the custom of drowning Marzana to end winter. One cannot touch the effigy once it's in the water, or else your hand will wither.
Oh, God.
Looking back, so now you've already done it, right?
Right.
You've drowned Marzana. You've burned the effigy of this woman. If you look back on your walk home, you might fall ill. And if you are unfortunate enough to stumble or trip over, that might even go ahead and lead to a relative's death within the next year.
Oh, no.
Yes.
Oh, my God. There's a procedure.
You better be careful.
This is teaching kids orderliness.
Yes. Yes. You've got to be orderly with the way that you burn and drown that effigy of the embodiment of winter.
Correct. Or there are consequences.
Big time. Big time. Amusingly, the Catholic Church doesn't seem to be down with this.
Okay.
And has tried to instead substitute it with a different ritual, hoping that maybe this like bloodlust notion of like personifying a spirit of a season maybe won't be a thing that children do.
Is it like lame and nobody wants to do it?
It is, but it's also kind of messed up.
Okay.
They didn't replace it with, like we all sit around and tell each other stories.
Yeah, right.
They attempted to replace it with throwing an effigy of Judas off of a church tower.
All right, maybe they're like, look, these people like this thing. We're going to have to appeal to them in some way.
Yeah.
So let's keep the effigy.
Yeah.
Let's make it a bad guy who we're all mad at.
Somebody that we don't like, that the church doesn't like. Got it. Okay, and we can do some harm to it, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Perfect.
It should be that like they fill the effigy with, like old parts of like watermelons and stuff, so that when it splats, it's like really satisfying.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, because fire is so destructive and enticing.
Oh, yeah.
If you're going to try to one-up fire, you've really got to go hard.
It's hard to one-up fire.
It's hard to one-up
fire.
fire.
Firebug myself.
Totally. So back to the mare, because in Poland there are some things that people believe you can do to prevent a mare, a nightmare, from befalling you and sitting on your chest and suffocating you. You can drink coffee grounds before going to sleep.
I don't think that's going to do. It'll keep you up.
It'll keep you up, so maybe therefore you won't
the
have a
mare won't
nightmare.
come, yeah.
You can take the mare's hat,
Okay.
which I think is funny that it's wearing a hat.
It's funny.
Wonder what kind of hat.
Yeah.
It doesn't have a hat in the artwork.
No, it doesn't. I picture like a beanie.
A beanie?
Yeah.
Really? Like
yeah, like a knit beanie.
like Jason Mewes? Like a
Yeah. Maybe not folded over.
Nooch.
Kind of an old timey snooch the nooch beanie.
nooch. Oh, you can actually throw a piece of a noose at the demon.
Oh.
A piece of a
Piece
noose.
of a noose.
Which is just a piece
That's
of
weird.
a rope.
Yeah.
You can sleep with a leather wedding belt or a scythe.
A scythe?
I guess. You had to chop it?
That's very dangerous. Again, that's probably just to keep you from sleeping all night because you're sleeping next to like a giant blade that you don't want
Right.
to roll over on.
Well, fun fact, you can kill almost anything with a scythe. The more you know. You can invite the Mare for breakfast. Call me whatever you want, just don't call me late for breakfast.
Oh my god.
You can change your sleeping position. It sounds like the easiest
I'm
one
about
of
to say
all.
I would go with that one.
Yeah. You can you can smear feces on the door.
Because then you won't want to touch it?
Would you believe I didn't read this list before I copied it down?
I don't believe it.
Smear feces on the door. It'll keep everyone away.
Absolutely.
You will have the best sleep of your night. No one's coming over to bother you if you've smeared feces on the door.
Except maybe not, 'cause it'd be like reverse aromatherapy. I feel like you'd have a terrible sleep.
I also do good aromatherapy. From Jason Mewes to the Nard Dog. Sorry, everybody.
Oh my god.
You can also leave a bundle of hay in your bed and then just go sleep in a different room.
Oh my god. Okay. I'm just gonna change positions. I'll just roll over.
Change positions, just move a little bit,
That's
I guess.
fine.
And then you, damn it, Dread, you've bested the Mare. To protect cattle or horses, because the Mare is a thing that, again, it rides you. They believe that it'll drain horses, cattle of energy or blood at night.
What a huge pain if this thing comes into your life. Not only do you have to smear feces on your door.
Yeah.
Feces on your door. You also have to worry.
Feces pieces all over the door. Even got the knob. How am I going to get back in?
You have to smear feces, and you have to worry about your animals. You have to worry about yourself and all your animals. What a bug this is.
Feces. Really got me. Feces. Oh, there's feces all over the door. This is bizarre. Anyway.
You're going to be dealing with feces aplenty
Feces.
soon.
Oh, my
with Will's
God.
baby coming.
It's very true. Yeah.
Maybe we
I've
should
been-
just always call it feces.
Don't
It'll
worry, I've
make
been practicing.
diapering yourself. Watch the pin.
More powder. Anyway.
Oh my god.
If you want to protect your cattle and horses, people would hang mirrors over the manger so that the mare will scare itself with its own face, which I think is kind of cool. That's like classic.
Yeah.
It's like this is not how you get Rumpelstiltskin, obviously, but it speaks to that sort of like mischievous weirdo who can be defeated easily if you know the right way.
Right.
Or you would affix dead predatory birds to the stable's door.
Again, I'm going with the path of least resistance. I'll just put up a mirror.
We don't have it there. You know what? No, I was about to say there are no customs about sticking something to your door anymore, but that's not really true. You
Wreaths. Yeah, Christmas wreaths. Yeah.
yeah. What's a feces wreath?
I guess anything is a wreath if you just make it in
Feces
that
wreath, yeah.
pattern. Feces wreath.
Sometimes the horses were given red ribbons, or they also were covered in a stinking substance. So, sorry, hold on. Pardon me. I must excuse myself. Things are not going correctly. All right, moving on. Ignore it. All right, here's a little one, and then I'll stop. It's just a little guy I'll tell you about, and then I'll leave you all alone. There's something called
God, that was a really big story.
there's something called a Fylgja, which it can transform into an animal. It's sort of a familiar
Okay.
kind of a thing. It can turn into an animal that represents you in some way, shape, or form, or your future. It cannot change. I thought of it almost like a Patronus.
Okay.
So somebody with a tame nature, their Fylgja would typically be an ox, a goat, or a boar. If you have an untamed nature, you might have a fox, wolf, deer, bear, eagle, falcon, leopard, lion, or serpent. So something that's a little more like wily and tough. It will appear in front of its owner, often in dreams, and offer portents of events to come.
That's cool.
It's a representation of the future itself in that case, not just your character. And it can appear also in your sleep, but if it appears when you're awake and you see it, then that Fylgja is an omen of your own impending death.
There are a lot of variables to Fylgja.
Yeah, there are a lot
Like
of
in a
things.
Fylgja field guide.
Totally. I feel like there are a lot of things here where it's like, this might happen or that might happen.
Right.
There's also, I'll leave you with one more just because I thought it was fun. The Fossegrim. This is a fiddle teacher. It's a little creature that'll teach you how to fiddle.
Okay.
But it's a little tricky. Talk about clumsy rules. The Fossegrim is said to be willing to teach away his skills in exchange for a food offering made on a Tuesday evening and in secrecy.
Very specific.
Yeah. It wants a white he-goat thrown with the head turned away into a waterfall that flows northwards, or smoked mutton stolen from the neighbor's storage 4 Thursdays in a row. If there is not enough meat on the bone, he will only teach you how to tune your fiddle.
Oh my God.
So you went through all that. It's like,
It's just
not
a
enough
tuning.
meat.
Yeah.
Twist the knobs at the end of the fiddle. See you later. If the offering is
I like this little guy.
if the offering is satisfactory, he will take your right hand and draw your fingers along the strings until all your fingers bleed.
Oh my God.
After which,
Ugh.
you will be able to play so well that the trees shall dance and torrents in their fall stand still.
All right, I guess, but I hate that idea.
So it's worth stealing all that mutton.
I guess. Stuff in your pockets with it.
Trust me,
Right.
It was worth it. In terms of like movies and stuff, I have just a few. There's a very sort of famous, infamous movie. It's relatively well known, called Troll Hunter.
Okay.
It
I know
is-
it by name.
Exactly. Yeah, that's why I say it's sort of known, though I personally have never seen it. But it's a found footage movie where people encounter a troll. There is a movie called The Ritual. This was
Yes.
very popular. It's on Netflix, I believe.
Yep, it is. It's definitely there right now. I saw it recently.
You
I didn't
watched
watch
it?
it, but I saw that it's on there. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I watched it a couple of years ago. A lot of people were saying that it was very much like the Blair Witch Project. Ironically, Troll Hunter is found footage. Ritual is not found footage, but it does concern a group of friends that go into the woods, I think in Iceland, and encounter a folkloric event.
It
or
seemed
people
too
that believe
intense
in
for me.
folklore. I liked it.
Yeah.
I liked it a bunch. I don't know that I would say that I really felt like it was like Blair Witch.
Yeah.
It was very trippy. They did. I almost don't want to. I love spoiling stuff.
Yeah.
But I almost don't want to spoil it.
Yeah, I get
There's just like a gimmick to the filming that I find really fun, where sometimes you're in the woods and then the woods feel a lot like different environments, which is very creative and interesting. And
Dan Stevens is in that, right? Is that the same movie? The guy from Downton Abbey.
I don't think so.
Oh, okay. I might be thinking of something else then.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't think so. And then I learned about a movie that I had also never heard of before, but now it's on my list of things that I want to see soon. It's called Marianne.
Yes, I know about this. I haven't seen it though.
Really? You know about this?
Yep.
Okay.
I recognize the poster.
It's a 2011 movie, and it is, to my understanding, related to the story of the Mare, or of the
Cool.
of the Mare's companion, the Morana, or the Marzana, as she's known, the woman of the winter. Peter Stormare's in it, who I love, and it felt like it's very sort of like a psychological kind of horror, which the Mare is a nightmare focused creature, so maybe there are elements of like trippiness and psychological torment and stuff, which honestly is kind of right up my alley.
Yeah.
So I think that I'm going to be checking this out. But so just to give some recommendations about things that are in the world of Norse folklore horror, if you want to
Cool.
check out some movies or anything. But there you go. Some interesting Norse monsters.
Yeah.
Some quite wintry. And might just
Wintry
be waiting
indeed.
outside while you're taking out the trash. Yeah.
I loved this.
I thought this was super fun. I love
Yeah.
covering, like, because all of these have that vibe of things that people told each other about
Yeah.
in the dark.
Yeah.
I
I love thinking about that.
I absolutely love thinking about that. And there's stories of survival to a certain extent, or the way the world works.
Right.
I love.
Yeah, it definitely tells you a lot about the way their world worked.
Exactly. I absolutely love this kind of story. Super fun. Great
Totally.
suggestion, Caitlin. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
So that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. Again, you can go to patreon.com/GTTUpod if you'd like to help support the show and get some fun things back. You can also go to Facebook and join our private group. It's the Guide to the Unknown Secret Society. So if you just search for that, you'll be able to find it. And we have a merch store that's at tpublic.com/user/GTTUpod in case you want to pick something up. And you can find the links for all of those things at gttupod.com.
Yeah, for sure. Particularly in the merch store, the TeePublic store. I'm sure there's probably a warm hat or something in there.
Yes, I would imagine so. There are also masks.
Yeah, gotta make sure that you're prepared for the harsh winter. And once again, if you would consider sharing this show with people out there in the world, maybe tweet, write a Facebook post, write a blog post, tell some other podcasters, or leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, just like C. Jason did this past week, saying, informative and fun. This is a great podcast for getting info about all sorts of horror subgenres, series, folklore, and legends in a funny package. Really love the conversational and casual atmosphere balanced with the excellent subject matter and information. I highly recommend this for horror aficionados.
Great.
Thank you very much, C. Jason, and to anybody else
Thank you,
who might
C.
leave
Jason.
us a positive review in the next week.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Speaking of next week, Kristen and I are going to be coming back at you with some more spooky stories to share. So make sure that you come back and hang out with us. Subscribe to this podcast. Subscribe to youtube.com/talkmom. And if you want, you can follow at GTTUpod to keep up to date with every new show as it is released. If you've got something particularly pressing to say, you might also message us.
That's right. I am at Chillin' Kristen.
I am at The Myth Traveler. So thank you all so much for hanging out with us. We will definitely see you next time for more spooky tales. But until that time comes, we must travel.
Back to the netherworld. Go we. I pointed up like it was to the north and the Arctic.
Up to the Arctic.
While I was saying that. Not down in the netherworld, but up.
It's like making a real declaration there.
Yep.
Not down to the Arctic, but up.
But up.
Up. Damn it. The Pete says Troll Hunter is amazing.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I also mentioned that one because it seemed like something that I might also want to check out.
Andrea said that she's been rewatching all of our past December episodes while putting up the Christmas decorations.
Oh.
I love that. I hope that's been
nice.
enjoyable. Thanks, Andrea.
That's super fun.
You have such cool ideas about like fun things to do. I feel like you're always doing something I'm like, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, we've always tried to do things that are at least like on point for the winter to a certain extent.
a little
I don't know,
wintry.
We've never done like a holiday special.
Not exactly, but we have done Krampus and we've done Gryla. I think we found out her name was Grilla.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. That's super
And
cool.
we're going to be planning the rest of the month.
Yeah, that's right.
This
So
coming Sunday. Yeah.
Yeah, this Sunday is the first Sunday of December. So if you want to get some sneak peeks at what might be coming your way on this show, or try to make your voice heard and get some topics in there, definitely join us. Patreon.com/GTTUpod.
Yeah, it'll be cool. Caitlin, who suggested this topic, said more poop humor than I was expecting in this episode. Me too.
I wrote down. That was one of those things, the list of preventions was one of those things that I was like, oh, I know this is going to be great no matter what. So I just copied it over wholesale. And then that
just took you by surprise.
Feces on
As
your
it
door.
sometimes does. Yeah, me saying feces also took me by surprise.
I just didn't anticipate it.
I've had a lot of feces today, actually, because we also watched The Visit.
Oh, boy.
We're going to be talking about that on a future episode that we're banking for William's paternity leave.
Yeah.
And there's feces in that.
Oh, there is feces in that. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right about that. Get into some feces early.
Woo!
Oh, the feces you'll go. All right, everybody.
All right, guys.
Well, thanks
we're
for
going
hanging
to
out with
record
us.
that episode and talk about feces over there. So
Yeah,
you
I
can look
wanna
forward
make
to
sure
that
that-
in a couple months.
As soon as my baby's here, I want to make sure that there's still plenty of show for people to check out every week. So we're banking a bunch of stuff. Another good reason to tune in on Sunday. Maybe we'll talk more about some of the banked options and make some more plans and stuff.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, guys.
Wait, Emma says something that I want to know.
What?
No mention of my favorite Norse ghost removal method. Please say it.
Elaborate.
I love rules. I love the laws that the spirit world abides by. So I would very much like
Oh, and Caitlin says a different Downton Abbey guys in the ritual. I know.
Rafe Spall.
Okay.
I couldn't think of his name.
I know that I am thinking of something different. I'm positive because I like Dan Stevens, that there's a Dan Stevens horror movie that I was like, that looks a little bit like, I don't know, like a bummer or something. I remember seeing it. No. I like The Guest. No, it's set in the woods. I'm going to find it.
Let's see. Emma says, here's a ghost removal method. Exorcism by embarrassment?
Apostle is what I'm thinking of.
Apostle.
By the way. Anyway.
Oh, Caitlin knew that one too.
Yes,
So
thank you.
here's how you get rid of a ghost, evidently. Emma G's favorite Norse ghost removal method. Exorcism by embarrassment, decapitate them, and then put the head on the butt.
That's awesome. How humiliating.
Oh, no, he'll never be seen again.
That's really funny.
Part of that's how they got rid of Pennywise.
Yes,
Yeah.
actually.
Just humiliate and bully.
Yeah, just laugh at him.
Yeah, they didn't put his head on his butt.
No.
Huge missed opportunity. That leaves the door open for the third
I'm about
one.
to say, I don't know if our story is over.
Hey, Georgie, you didn't put my head on my butt, so I back.
Thought I'd come back to give you the keys. Oh, yeah, coming at him. Ugh.
All right, everybody.
All right, guys.
We'll smell you later.
Yeah,
have a great
good
rest
night.
of your night, everyone. Talk to
Bye.
you soon. Bye-bye. Cool.
Great.